What's going on, everybody? This is the Daily Fantasy Show brought to you by DFO. It is Saturday, December 2nd. We have a 10-game slate tonight. My lighting is weird, but that's all right. I can see myself a little blurry. It's okay. I am pumped for this 10-game slate tonight. I am also pumped for UFC 218. I'm also exhausted. But as you can see, my little co-host is not here. So you have my undivided attention for the next 40 minutes or so. So hope you guys had a good night last night. I've been on a heater. It's been pretty fun. Hopefully it continues today. Winnipeg went ballistic in the third period last night. Vegas just got wrecked on the power play. It was ugly. Yes. Yeah. Boo. Yeah. No, it won me a lot of money. I have no regrets. Not even one letter. But let's get into today's slate. There's a lot that I like. There's a lot that I don't like. I guess you can say that about every slate. So let's do it. Then you had a very good night, sir. First game of the night, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs traveling to Vancouver to face the Canucks. It's going to be Freddie Anderson against, if I had to guess, it'll be Jacob Markstrom. Daniel Sedin's going to be honored before the game for scoring his 1,000th point the other night. So I guess the Sedins are moving up. They're like one of 5 brother pairings to go over 2,000 career points, which is funny because in second is the Gretzkys, and they have like 2,800 something points, and Wayne Gretzky's brother only has 8 career NHL points. I thought that was a hilarious stat. But anyway, first game tonight, I don't really have too much interest in it. Kind of a middle-of-the-road game for me. There's a lot of home and homes tonight. There's a lot of chalk landing spots. There's some sneaky spots. Again, you want to use that top line for Vancouver. Okay, I think you're chasing a little bit here. Horvat. Besser, who's been on an absolute tear, and Nikolai Goldobin or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it. These names are crazy. All I know is he's good. He's 3,000. He's cheap. So if you want to go back there, okay. It's not really something that I'm going to do. I feel like it's a little bit of a chasing points thing for me. I'm not really down for chasing points. If it ends up beating me, it beats me. I won't lose sleep over it. Really, I don't have too much interest at all in this game. If you want to use Edler for 4,300, if you need like a one-off defenseman, okay. I mean, I think there's better options at the price. You know, Del Zotto's 3,100, but he's been kind of meh. Same with Derek Pouliot. I guess you can kind of make a case for Markstrom and GPPs at 7,300. I don't really like using Vancouver goalies again, or any goalie for that matter, against the Maple Leafs because they could put up 5 in a hurry. But you know, if you're going to use the Nucks and you need a little space for some other things, I think Markstrom is an okay GPP play. On the Toronto side, I'm kind of mum on them as well. I like, if you really want to call it the third line, Bozak, JVR, and Marner. I wish, Nylander would move up, but Mike Dad Blabcock is a dick. So I guess he's teaching the young kid a lesson. for now. So if I'm going to target a line in this game, it's going to be the third line. And I probably use Jake Gardner with them, or, if you actually want to spend up Morgan Riley. I kind of prefer Gardner in this spot. He's $1,400 cheaper on DraftKings. He's not as bad as people think. If you want to use Zaitsev too, I think you can make a case for that as well. Freddie Anderson's an interesting play for me. I don't know if you want to go down the Vancouver narrative street with the Sedin ceremony, with Besser being, on a heater. Yeah, I don't like Bozak either. He is cheap though. He's $3,700. I think there's, honestly, down around there, I think there's a couple other sneaky plays. Maybe they're not so sneaky. I don't know, but we'll get to those. I think you can use Freddie in GPPs, even if you want to, think Vancouver's on the narrative street. He's been playing better. This is a road matchup. For 7,600, I think I'd rather have a goalie from the Columbus-Washington game, but you certainly can make a case for Freddie Anderson. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Detroit Red Wings going to Montreal to face the Canadiens. It's a home and home. They played the other night. Marty Furk is up on the top line with Zetterberg and Gustav Nyquist. Second line is still Larkin, Tater Tots, and Mantha. I think Shea Weber is still a game-time decision. I haven't seen any news. I know he skated this morning. It is going to be Carey Price against Peter Mrazek. Who should we talk about first? Let's hit on Montreal first. I like the top line tonight for Montreal. Yeah, Duren's still a game-time decision with a lower body injury. I like the top line. Danault, Galchenyuk. Excuse me. No. Is it Plekanec with Pacioretty and Shaw? Am I reading that right? My sheet just updated on me. Shaw and Pacioretty with Danault, right? Or am I losing my fucking mind? I swear I go over this before I sit down and go live. Yeah, okay. There we go. I'm losing my mind. Oh, I read it wrong anyway. Yeah, so that's the line I like. Yeah, Plek with Hudon and Galley. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're the Canadiens fan. You let me know. But yeah, I like that top line tonight, especially Pacioretty. He's actually scoring the puck now. His shots are going in. I think, you're going to see a nice streak from him coming. He's only 6,400, which is reasonable. That line as a whole isn't very expensive to stack because Danault and Shaw are fairly cheap. On defense, if Weber is in, I think you can play him at 5,500 on DraftKings. If he's out, it looks like Joe Morrow's out, by the way. I know I missed that last game. He skated with the extras this morning. That's something to keep an eye on. So if I think that's an indication that Weber's gonna play, but if he doesn't, David Schlemko at 3,000 is in play. I think he's in play anyway if Weber plays. Also Jeff Petrie, obviously. If Weber doesn't go, Petrie is the play for Montreal and D. Schlemko's a nice punt. If Weber's in, I still think you can punt with Schlemko. He did see 20 minutes the other night. He's coming back from injury. I like him. He has a heavy shot. Yeah. Wee. Secondary lines for got the Predators on the mind. I think Morrow's out regardless. He skated with the extras this morning. I would definitely keep an eye on that. I know he wasn't in last game with Weber out, so even if Weber is out, Morrow still might be out. Victor Mete might be playing in his spot, so he's under 3,000. He only saw 11 minutes on the ice last game, so That kind of worries me a bit. So I'd rather go Schlemko than Mate, or if Morrow's in, I like Morrow, but I don't think he's going to be in. I don't really. I'm not a huge fan of the secondary lines tonight. It is kind of up in question with Duran out. Of course, what was it, Thursday? There was no need to go to Montreal 3 with the salary, and they went absolutely ham sandwich, which is, ironic because I've been on them for a while, and then one time I don't use them, they go bananas. But that's DFS. I think, I like Brandon Gallagher. He's the little engine that could for Montreal. I think, he's viable. Houdon is only 3,600. I think you can play him as well. In net, it looks like Carey Price is back. I know he had a bad game in Detroit, but that was his first time going back-to-back this season, coming off an injury. I think he's only gone back-to-back 5 times since 2014. He is rested. I think, you can make a case for him. He is pricey at 8,000, so my feelings on goalies 8,000 plus on DraftKings. I probably will fade just because of the price, but if you're using Montreal, Carey Price definitely in play. On the Detroit side, I still like the second line better than the top line. I just, I have a man crush on Anthony Mantha, and that's fine. I'm Josh, and I have a crush on Anthony Mantha. With Larkin, I wish he was with Anthony Ciu, but Tatar at 4,100 is not any slouch. He had a goal last game. I think, Detroit's going to go low tonight, especially with the game being, Bozak is out. Tyler Bozak is out. So who knows what Babcock is going to do with the lines. Just keep an eye on it. They might move Nylander around, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on. I like both lines for top lines for Detroit tonight, but the second line I like a tad better. The first line, Zetterberg, Furk, and Nyquist. Who knows how long Furk will last up there with Blashill. I hope he lasts because I love Marty Furk as well. You can use either of those lines. I think they go a little bit low owned tonight. You want to use Mike Green, 4,200, okay. I hate Nick Cronwall, but at 3,100, I think he is viable as a punt. He's like the Benji Molina of the NHL. So, but for 3,100, you know what you're getting here. Mrazek, tough spot even at 7,200. I love Peter Mrazek. I love everyone on the Red Wings, even though I hate the Red Wings. It's kind of weird. I wish Peter Mrazek got in a good system for him, but at 7,200, I don't. This is a tough spot for him. I think I'm going to fade him here. If you're on the Red Wings, I think you can take a flyer on him. It's not my favorite play by any stretch, but I'm leaning towards other options tonight. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the San Jose Sharks traveling to Tampa Bay to face the Lightning. Sharks are on a back-to-back. They beat the Panthers last night. Aaron Dell, the GOAT. But it's going to be Vasi against Martin Jones tonight. Big news here is Tampa Bay mixed up their lines. I don't like them. I wish they put if they're going to, they went nuts on the NHL for the first 20 games of the year or so. Then, they struggle for a couple, and all of a sudden, they mix up their lines. It's Nemestikov, Stamkos with Tyler Johnson, and Palat with Point and Kucherov. That really takes the top line of Tampa Bay out for me. I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about these lines. I don't even know if they're going to stick the whole game. I would imagine they don't. But if they do, I kind of prefer... I want the best player on the ice when push comes to shove, so I'm going to use Tampa too. If I'm going to use Tampa, I'll use, Palat, Point, and Kucherov. Tyler Johnson is cheap on the top line, and I don't know. I kind of wish if they were going to move Tyler Johnson up, they put him at center so Stamkos can be on the wing and shoot the puck more. Nemestikov doesn't really shoot the puck. He's more of a setup for Kucherov. Maybe he shoots a little bit more now that Kucherov isn't on the line. For me, I'm struggling with these changes. I'm probably going to fade Tampa Bay. I wouldn't blame you if you use them. I like both those lines. I just don't know how long they're going to stay together, and that worries me a bit. Also, Nemestikov is really expensive, and I would only really use Nemestikov with Kucherov just from the shot factor. So I'd be more inclined to use the second line of Tampa Bay because, Kucherov is the best player on the Lightning. It's kind of like how I had those debates with Pittsburgh when it's, a decision between Crosby and Malkin line. I'd rather have Crosby because he's a little bit better. I don't know about Vassier 200. I think the Sharks on the back-to-back kind of worry me. They're a veteran team. Thornton isn't 100%. Pavelski isn't 100%. But Vassier 8200 is a little pricey. I think you can, go there if you want to spend up. I know a lot of people are spending up for Rene tonight. This is a weird. Yeah, he's overpriced. This is kind of a weird matchup for him. If I'm spending up, I'd rather spend 8,300 for Rene on DraftKings. From the Shark side, I don't know. This is a tough spot. I know it's a back-to-back on the road, and they didn't really travel far, but they're veterans, and it kind of worries me a bit. If I'm going to use San Jose, I'll probably use Couture and Hurdle with Burns, and that's really about it. Or a little Timo Meyer, but he didn't really do much other than assisting on the first goal yesterday. In net, Martin Jones at 7,200 is interesting for me. I think I don't know, because with these line changes, I think he's a little more viable. It just worries me if, Cooper panics a bit and puts the lines back together. It's going to be a little tough spot for Jones. And Tampa Bay's power play is still deadly regardless. When I use Martin Jones, it's usually under 7,500. For some reason, he's always over 8,000 at home, which I hate. And Dell's the better goalie anyway. But at 7,200, Martin Jones in a GPP is an okay play. You're going to get him pretty low owned. I still think people are going to use Tampa tonight, but 7,200 does worry me a tad. But if you are using the Sharks, I think it's an okay play. I wouldn't put him in as my goalie if I'm not using the Sharks. We'll just put it that way. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Buffalo Sabres going to Pittsburgh tonight. Face the Penguins. They both played yesterday against each other. Pittsburgh mopped the floor 4-0. I've been seeing, nothing's confirmed yet, that Tristan Jarry is going to go back to back. I would assume it's going to be Chad Johnson tonight. So this makes Pittsburgh. I know the Sabres have been better on the second half of back-to-backs, which is so weird. But still, I think Pittsburgh is one of the best plays tonight. I just hate this game because I think both teams are in play again tonight. They're probably going to have ownership again tonight. I want to fade this game really bad. I'm probably going to fade it. I won't blame you if you're on Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is one of the best plays, and they're probably going to be fairly popular. Yeah, I'm fading too, but there's definitely a case for using Pittsburgh here tonight and going back to Buffalo top line, even though they're pricey. They're probably, the same price as yesterday. Yeah. I don't know. Buffalo top line has burned a lot of people recently, so you're probably going to get them at pretty low ownership tonight. Yeah, I'm not overly thrilled about using the Sabres goalie tonight, regardless of who it is. I think they're, if I'm going to spend way down on goalie, I think I'm going to use Scott Wedgwood and over Leonard or Chad Johnson. But if you're high on the Sabres goalies, then go ahead. I mean, I won't recommend it. From a Pittsburgh side, I think, the Crosby, it's a matter of preference. So I think both lines are in play, but when push comes to shove, I'd rather have Crosby since the lines are around the same price. Letang, Schultz for me. Yeah, I think Yari's in play. He's young back to back. He's untested back to back. He is 7,900, which is a little pricey. He is coming off a shutout yesterday. He played really well yesterday, so I don't have issue going back there. He is a highly touted prospect, so I think you can go there. I think Buffalo is going to be a little contrarian tonight. I do like that top line still. You hope they play a little bit better tonight, but we'll see. For a game that's going to be popular, I really didn't have too much to say about it. I just don't like Pittsburgh. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Columbus Blue Jackets traveling to Washington to face the Capitals. It's going to be Braden Holtby against Sergei Bobrovsky. Columbus on a back-to-back. They won yesterday. I guess you can go back to that Columbus top line. I think they played well yesterday. They were, I think they might have been the play until Winnipeg went absolutely bonkers. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Artemi Panarin, and Josh Anderson. Anderson's been a beast the last 5 games. I think he continues that tonight. You want to go to the second line, Dubinsky, Jenner, and Foligno. Okay, I prefer that top line. Again, Columbus back-to-back on the road. I don't really like going there. There is a bunch of teams on a back-to-back tonight, so maybe you have to use somebody on a back-to-back. I would go to the Columbus top line. They're cheap. They're still only $14,000 and change to full stack on DraftKings, or even cheaper on FanDuel. I think you can go there. The second line is a little bit more expensive, and I don't like them as much. So, yeah. I'd use either Seth Jones or Werenski if you want to make it a full stack here. They came down a little bit in price. It's really a matter of preference. Or you can punt Savard at 3,200. That's also viable. Not really high on Washington tonight. I like Bobrovsky. I know it's a back-to-back, but he is fresh. He is, in my opinion, the best goalie in the NHL. You can make a case, obviously, to use, Backstrom, Ovi, and in the game. I don't know. I was going back and forth on this today. I tried to fit Holtby in at first, and I couldn't because I like targeting teams, who are on back-to-backs. So I went with Bob, who's $100 cheaper because it fit. I like both goalies in this game. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. If you put a gun to my head, I think I'd rather use Holtby, but just because they're home. But I like both. The top line with Tom Wilson on it kind of sucks. So, I mean, if you're going to use the Capitals, you are welcome. I don't mind Backstrom, Ovi, Mini with Carlson. The second line together is a more cohesive unit. Kuznetsov, Verana, and Oshie. Again, I'm not really high on either line tonight. It's more of middle of the road. You're probably going to get them at decent ownership, I would think. Ovechkin has been better since he got back together with Backstrom, but again, not overly thrilled with Washington. Carlson's pretty expensive at $6,100. You can use Orlov or Niskanen. They're low threes. That's really about it from this game. This is a goalie game for me. I like both goalies in this game. In GPPs, I think you can probably make a case for Holtby and Cash if you wanted to. So I'm definitely looking for a goalie from this game, regardless. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Florida Panthers. Yeah, from this game, if I had a gun to my head, I'd probably have a slight lean Holtby over Bob, but I think either are fine. Florida Panthers traveling to Carolina to face the Hurricanes. Both these teams are on a back-to-back. Carolina was in the Garden last night and gave up a hat trick to Grabner, 2 empty net goals. Florida lost to San Jose. They were home. They travel up the coast a bit. So both teams traveled here. That makes me inclined. Yeah, as Darling going on a back-to-back. It's not Cam Ham Ward. I think you can go back to Carolina tonight. I don't know if it's going to be Luongo. I would assume it's going to be. I would think it's going to be Reimer tonight, right? Did Luongo play yesterday? Did the Panthers even play yesterday? I can't even remember. My memory's so bad. I really need like a teleprompter. Yeah. So it's probably going to be James Reimer tonight. So I think you can go back to Carolina in this case. Yandel's terrible on the road. I think you can go to the TSA line tonight. They're only a little over 17,000, which is kind of pricey, but this is a good matchup for them. Also, again, I always love Carolina 3. They're cheap and they produce, but I think this is a TSA night. Holy crap! For me, if I'm going to use Carolina, you can always use Skinner as a one-off. I know Justin Williams scored yesterday. That was kind of a little fluky softy on Hank. I think both are in play. I'm using Hayden Fleury tonight because I needed the salary relief at 2,800. He put up 1.5 DK points yesterday. Didn't really do much, but 1.5 at 2,800 is fine by me. Yes, he is. He is a good young player. You want to spend, if you're going to use Carolina, Justin Falk at 4,400, okay. Again, I prefer Hannafin 3,600 or Slavin at 3,700. It is Darling going back to back. I kind of like the top line for the Panthers tonight. It doesn't thrill me without Evgeny Dadonov. Barkov and Huberdeau are mid-6s on DraftKings, and it's kind of pricey. Dennis Malgin is up there, 3,200. It's kind of a meh line without Dadonov, which kind of makes me want to fade Florida tonight. As a whole, I'd rather go Ekblad than Yandel, but it's kind of middle of the road for me. I probably, I kind of crossed off Florida pretty early this morning. And with Reimer, I don't really have much interest in Reimer until, he can prove he can stop a puck. And maybe he does that tonight, maybe he doesn't, but I don't want to use him. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the New Jersey Devils traveling to Arizona to face the Coyotes. Devils are on a back-to-back. It's going to be Keith Kincaid at 8,000 on DraftKings against Scott Wedgwood at 6,900. Big news here. The Coyotes actually made decent fucking lines for once. That gets me really excited. I really like Arizona's second line tonight. Domi, Dvorak, Keller. They're only about 12,000 to full stack. That line makes me super excited. Let you do anything you want. You can fit, the chalky expensive lines in there. Nashville, Dallas, Calgary. We'll get there. I really like that second line. what is, I think the top line you can use as well. I'm not as high on them. They are even cheaper, I believe. Um, who is it? It's Derek Steffen, Perlini, and Reeder, right? Yeah. They're super cheap as well. I prefer that second line just because Clayton Keller is my boy. But I don't mind that top line. They are gonna probably, I don't know if they hard match. I have to double check on that. Yeah, second line's also power play one with OEL. Love OEL tonight as well. Even though he's up to 5,600, I think he is definitely in play. I like that top line as well. But I think they're going to be out against the Hall line. I don't know if they hard match. I hope it's not the Dvorak line against the Hall line because Dvorak is not good defensively. I think you can also punt, Goligoski at 3,300, Jason Demers at 3,000. I don't know. I like Arizona at home. I've always liked Arizona at home. It's just something that I like to use. They usually go low owned. They produce at home. It could be low scoring, could be still like a 3-2 game, 2-1 game. But at how low the prices are, they just need really one full line goal to pay off at the price. I like Scott Wedgwood if you want some salary savings. He's not a top play for me by any means, and I don't think you should get it confused. But I do like him tonight against the Devils, who are on a back-to-back. I think he is viable in GPPs, especially if you're using the Coyotes. I love the price. Nice. But I don't think he's a top play. But if you need the salary, definitely Wedgwood would be the guy to spend down on. Kincaid at 8,000 is absolutely ridiculous. I have no interest there. I guess he'd be contrarian because I kind of just saw the price and threw up in my mouth a little bit. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of New Jersey tonight at all. Yeah, Wedgwood. Yeah, you can use what on either platform. When I talk, I just talk DraftKings prices for whatever reason. It's because I play more DraftKings than FanDuel. Again, Taylor Hall is always in play for me. I don't mind that top line: Nico Hischier, Taylor Hall, Jesper Bratt. It's an okay matchup. I don't know if you need to go there. Hall's 7,400. I think there's better ways to spend that. One off Bratt, I think that's reasonable. He's 4,800. Wish Nico Hischier was on the top power play, but he's not. I'll stop complaining about that. Sammy Vatanen got his feet wet last game. He's 4,300. I think he's viable with Bill the Butcher, and even punting John Moore at 3,000. That's really about the interest I have in New Jersey. It's not high on my go-to list tonight. Kincaid at 8,000 again. I think that's way overpriced. And I think most people agree, so he's probably going to be super low owned if you want to get a little contrarian, a little funky. But for me, I'm not going there. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Anaheim Ducks traveling to Nashville to face the Predators. Yikes for Anaheim. They're so banged up. They're a mess. They're a mess. I like both lines in Nashville tonight. I think the top line's going to be Chalk City, but they are getting pretty pricey, to be honest with you. Forsberg's over 7,000, Victor Arvidsson's mid-6s, Johansson's mid-5s. So maybe they won't be as chalky as I think, but, it is a 10-game slate. They could be over 15%. I don't know. Maybe people go Dallas instead. But Dallas is a tad more expensive, so maybe they go Predators. But with the Coyotes, you never know. I like both, but I think, Nashville 1 is my preferred play. I don't mind Nashville 2 at all, They're really cheap. They're a nice secondary line to use. I think they're up there with the Arizonas of the world. Ah, man. Throw salary to the wind. You look at the matchups. You look at Dallas playing Chicago, who are bad defensively, and no Corey Crawford. And you look at Nashville, who are going against Anaheim, are just miserable. They're banged up. You throw everything out. If you don't, I think I'd favor Nashville a little bit, but it's really close. It's a toss. It's a 50-50 toss up for me. Nashville one or Dallas one. I think if you're making multiple lineups, I think you can, you should have exposure to both. Even though they're going to be chalky, you can differentiate elsewhere. Nashville 1 for me, then Nashville 2. Right, I don't know. I don't expect you to be able to fit both. That would be the day. But you can kind of mini it in if you want to get a little creative. Yossi 6,800. If you're using Nashville 2, I think that makes more sense. PK Subban 5,300. For me, if I'm using Nashville 1, Matthias Ekholm's 4,900. That's still really pricey. But you can do it. I think Montour's back. Cam Fowler, Brandon Montour is about the only interest I have in the Ducks tonight. This is not a good spot for the Duckies. Poor Duckies. I guess if you really want to go contrarian, you can use the top line for the Ducks. Henrique, Ritchie, and Perry, but just saying that just makes me hate myself. So I'm a full Ducks fade tonight. I think, Rene's viable in any format on both sites. He is expensive on DraftKings, so I have to stick to my brand and, not pay for goalie. But obviously, this is a really good spot for him. I don't know who it's going to be for the Ducks. They're all, 7,100 or 7,000. So, if it's Gibson, I guess you can maybe make a case. Is it Ryan Miller? Thank you. He's 7,000. I guess you kind of make a case for Ryan Miller and GPPs if you really want to get funky. Rennie or Holtby for GPP, I think both are viable. It depends on your build if you have the salary. I don't think you need to force Rene in A300, but if you have the salary, I think Rene's in a better spot. It's not stupid. There's no such thing as a stupid question. I'd rather you ask the question than not. I'd rather you ask the question that you think is stupid than not ask it and regret yourself later. I don't know if you can call Ryan Miller a leverage play. I don't think that's how it works, but I would assume he's going to see a ton of shots tonight if you want to go there at 7,000. I still think I prefer Wedgwood at 6,900 than to Ryan Miller at 7,000. It's kind of a horrifying spot, but again, he is going to see some shot volume for sure. So let's move on to the next game of the night. Whew. Get some water here. Hold on. Got Chicago traveling to Dallas to face the Stars. This is a home and home. They played the other night. It's going to be Ben Bishop against Anton Forsberg. I think, Dallas 1 is one of the top plays tonight for sure. Seguin, Ben, Radulov. You can fit them in with Klingberg. That would be very nice. If not, Essa Lindell at 3,500 is in play for me. I wish Julius Honka would see a nice run, but can't always get what you want. I still like Matthias Janmark. I know he's not on the greatest of lines, but he's a pal. Spezza, Janmark, and Devon Shore is like a super contrarian line. They're super cheap. think you can go there as well. I like them as up there with Arizona too, and Nashville too. I prefer the other two, but I do like the second line. They're going to be pretty low owned, I would imagine. But yeah, if you can get them in with Klingberg, do it. Otherwise, Lindell. If you want to go with the legend of Radek Faxa, that's kind of a point chaser there. I'd rather, definitely Dallas 1. And then if you want to get a little contrarian, Dallas 2. On the flippy side, I don't know how I feel about Chicago. I never know how to feel about Chicago. I like both the top lines again tonight. Again, when push comes to shove, I want the best player for the team, and I think that is Patrick Kane. So I think you can go to Patty Kane line first. I used Nick Schmaltz the other night as a one-off with Gustav Forsling, and it was nice to me. I like that second line a little bit better than Taze Sod. Again, I like Gustav Forsling again tonight. He's 3,300. If you want to go up to Keith, okay. I prefer Forsling. You want to use Brent Dan Girardi Seabrook at 3,700. Okay. But for me, I go Kane line, then Taze line. I don't mind using the Kane line tonight for sure. I'd be a little bit more reserved on the Taze line, but again, I don't use Chicago too often, but they're definitely in play tonight for sure. Goalies in this game, Ben Bishop's 7,700. I'd rather go Holtby or Bob, but if you're using the Stars and you want the goalie correlation, I think you can go to Ben Bishop. I'm not thrilled about it. I think this, both teams are going to score in this game. Anton Forsberg at 7,300. Again, I'd still rather go Wedgwood. Especially, on the road. This isn't a game that I really want to target a goalie from. So let's move on to the last game of the night. We have the Edmonton Oilers traveling to Calgary to face the Flames. I believe this is a home-and-home as well. Yeah, it is. It's going to be Mike Smith against Laurent Brossoit. It's weird that I could pronounce some really tricky ones and I can't pronounce some simple names, but I don't get paid for pronunciation, I guess. I think you can go back to the Calgary top line tonight. I know they burned everyone's face off the other night, but this is a really good spot for them. Again, they were pretty active in the game in Edmonton. They just couldn't score. Brossoit made some redonkulous saves. That sequence against Gaudreau and Monahan, I think he had 4 or 5 saves in that sequence. It was nuts. But I think you can go back to the top line tonight. On the blue line, Giordano's cheaper than Dougie Hamilton, which annoys me because Dougie Hamilton's his advanced stats are just bonkers. Kind of like Calgary too, and they don't really do much. So I don't mind Giordano at 4,800. I think you can go there. You want to, keep plugging in Dougie Hamilton and hope he pops off at 5,000. I think you can do that as well. I prefer Calgary 1 at home to Calgary 2. The Calgary 2 is super cheap again. There's so many good cheap lines tonight. I think you can use the second line. They're definitely going to get McDavid tonight, though. But again, they're a little over 13,000 to full stack on DraftKings. I think you can go there again. Backlund scored the other night. Maybe they're starting to break out of it. Frolik. I always know Frolik is the shorthanded goal scorer. He's under 4,000. He's 3,800. Chucky is 4,400. You can go there again. For me, I think I'd rather go Nashville 2, Arizona 2. But I think Calgary 2 is in play again just because of the price and the matchup. I think you can go back there. On the Edmonton side, I've been off Edmonton since they mixed up their lines. I don't like them at all. Um, I don't mind Jesse Puljavari with McDavid. I hate that Lucic is on the line. He's a plug at this point. I don't know. I still like that third line. Draisaitl, Kajula, and Strome, but I don't like using Edmonton without McDavid. So what are you going to do? I mean, the only reasonable thing to do here is power play stack them. I think, yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. Nylander is going to be between JVR and Marner. That definitely bumps them up a little bit. I don't really like Nylander at center too much, but I know he was a center in juniors, but I think in the NHL he's definitely better fit to be a winger. But yeah, that definitely bumps up Toronto 3 for me. I really like that line tonight. It's a good matchup. But yeah, Edmonton, maybe power play stack them with McDavid, Draisaitl, Clefbaum, or if it's Benning still on power play 1, you can use Benning. You want to use Chris Russell for block shot city and maybe a couple own goals. I think you can do that. In net in this game, I kind of like Mike Smith 7,800. Just because the Edmonton lines are a mess. Calgary is good defensively. I did pick Calgary to win the Pacific Division before the season. I have screenshots. I like Smitty in GPPs a bit. Again, yeah, even the power plays are all messed up. McDavid, but yeah. I hope they clean house. I don't know if McClellan's a bad coach or what, but that GM's a donkey fucker, and he doesn't, he didn't really help his coach out at all. But I think I'm going to fade Edmonton tonight. I think this is a Calgary game. I think you can make a case for both top lines of Calgary. Mike Smith for sure. So that is the 10-gamer we did in 47 minutes. It's amazing what happens when I can actually focus, when I don't have to juggle a 3-year-old. So does anyone have any questions, concerns? Do you like Petrie as a punt, even if Weber is back? Yes, he is on power play too. Yeah, or farts, yeah. He's a gassy little dude. Yeah, I do like Petrie tonight, even if Weber is out, or Weber is in. I would assume he's in, but I don't know. Either way, I still like Petrie tonight. Any UFC questions? Anyone playing MMA tonight on DraftKings? If you can fit Renee in GPP, I think you do it. I don't think you have to force your way to do it. But if you have the salary, I think you can use them for sure. It's not very hard to fit Renee tonight, too. So he might have some ownership attached to him. But goalie ownership is a different story. I don't mind having a goalie with ownership if he's the play, obviously. Nobody's playing MMA tonight? Come on. Anyone like the UFC? Where are my Canadians at who like GSP? I know he's not fighting tonight. I think Calgary 1 has decent ownership tonight, but with a slate with Nashville and Dallas and Pittsburgh, I think I was way off on Winnipeg tonight, and that's on me, on their ownership. But Calgary, I think, won't be above 10%. I think Nashville and Dallas go over 15%, so maybe Calgary's a little bit. Yeah, I do like Ferland with the other two. Yeah, I wish this fight, if Overeem was in his prime when he was on steroids, Fiala. If Reem was in his prime against Francis Ngannou, I think that'd be an unbelievable fight. But Ngannou's going to eat Reem for breakfast tonight, and he's going to be the next champion. Stipe maybe can hold out for a round, but Ngannou's just a freak show. But yeah, if you're not into UFC, man, Justin Gaethje's fighting tonight. He's a beast. Wierenski, Seth Jones, Ekholm, or Keith? I'd probably go Wierenski. Actually, in the order you just sent it to me, that's my preference. Domi, the order you sent it to me, in that order, Wierenski, Jones, then Ekholm, then Keith. Favorite Arizona line, it is Domi, Duclair, or not Duclair, excuse me. Domi, Dvorak, Keller, and then the top line is second. I don't know if you need to go down to Dylan Strome and Duclair. You're basically going to have like all the salary left over, even if you spend for people. If you're never seen the UFC before, do yourself a favor and Google Michael Johnson versus Justin Gaethje. You will not be disappointed. He's fighting Eddie Alvarez tonight. That's going to be madness. All right, so that will wrap it up for me. I think you can use Brody. I prefer to use Giordano or Hamilton. If you can't fit either, I think Brody is definitely viable. I will be back tomorrow. Little NFL, little NHL Sunday. Hope you guys crush it tonight. I will be around in the premium chat. I will be on Twitter. I will be watching hockey. I will be watching UFC. I will be in my man cave with 3 TV setup. So good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win money, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.